They are just keys. Derek, stop being so dramatic, my girlfriend said after coming home in a different dress. So I changed all my locks, deactivated her building access, and told her she has 30 days to move out of my condo. I am Derek Callahan, 33M, software engineer in downtown Vancouver. I have been with Stephanie, 28F, for 3 years. She works part-time as a social media coordinator, maybe 20 hours a week. We have been living together in my inherited condo for 2 years, worth around $800K. Stephanie doesn't pay rent. I cover mortgage, strata fees, utilities, groceries, everything. She contributes maybe $200, $300 monthly. I make good money, and didn't mind helping while she figured out her career path. She has been talking about going back to school for marketing. I thought we were building something together. Saturday afternoon, Stephanie tells me she is having dinner with her family at her aunt's place in Burnaby. She asked to take my car because hers has been acting up. I said sure. I had some code to review and figured I would have a quiet night in. She leaves around 6 p.m. Says she will be back around midnight. Everything seems normal. Around 11:30 p.m., I am wrapping up my code review and getting ready for bed when my phone rings. It is Stephanie's mom. That is weird because her mom never calls me. We usually just text occasionally for birthdays or holidays. I answer and she sounds genuinely confused, asks if everything's okay with Stephanie, if we had a fight or something. I am immediately concerned and ask what she means. She tells me that Stephanie never showed up for dinner tonight. They would all been waiting for her. Tried calling her multiple times throughout the evening, and she wasn't answering any of their calls. Her mom thought maybe we had had an argument and Stephanie bailed on dinner because she was upset about something. I am standing there in my living room completely blindsided. I tell her mom that Stephanie left hours ago specifically to go to this dinner, that she took my car and everything. I explain that she said it was at her aunt's place in Burnaby and would probably run late. There is this long, uncomfortable pause on the line. Then her mom says very carefully, Derek, there was no dinner planned at my sister's place tonight. I don't know what Stephanie told you, but we didn't have anything scheduled. I actually just got off the phone with my sister asking if she knew where Stephanie was. My stomach drops. I try to reach Stephanie. Rings and rings. Voicemail. Try again. Same thing. Text asking where she is. No response. I am worried something happened. Accident. Car broke down. Phone died. I stay up waiting, checking my phone constantly. Every time I hear a car outside, I look out the window. Around 2:30 a.m., I finally hear a key turning in the door. Stephanie comes stumbling in, and I can immediately tell she has been drinking. Not fall down drunk, but definitely tipsy enough that her movements are a bit uncoordinated. More concerning is that she is wearing a completely different outfit than what she left in. She had left the house in jeans and a comfortable sweater, and now she is in this short black dress I have never seen before, with heels in her hand. She literally jumps when she sees me still sitting there on the couch and asks why I am still awake. Like it is unusual that I would be concerned about my girlfriend who has been missing for 8 hours. I ask her where she has been. Her whole demeanor changes immediately. She gets this defensive tone in her voice. Says she was at her family dinner like she told me. I let her finish that sentence, then tell her very calmly that her mom called me looking for her hours ago, that there was no dinner, that everyone in her family was worried about where she was. I watch her face change completely in real time. The color drains a bit, her eyes widen, and then almost immediately she gets angry instead of apologetic. She tells me her mom's just confused, that it was at her aunt's place in Burnaby, not her mom's house. But here is the thing. Her mom specifically told me she had already checked with her sister, and there was nothing planned anywhere. I ask her directly, keeping my voice calm. Stephanie, where were you really tonight? And that is when she really starts getting defensive. She says I am being controlling, that she doesn't need to explain herself to me, that she is allowed to have a life outside of our relationship. I point out as patiently as I can that she lied about where she was going, took my car under what I now know were false pretenses, and didn't answer any calls or texts for over 8 hours. She says her phone died and she was just out with her friend Jessica, that they spontaneously decided to hit up some clubs downtown and have a girls' night. I ask her why she didn't just tell me that in the first place. Why make up an elaborate story about a family dinner? She says it is because she knew I would make it a big deal about her going clubbing. I tell her we will talk in the morning. She rolls her eyes and goes to the bedroom. I stay on the couch, barely sleeping. Sunday morning around 10 a.m., my phone rings. It is the towing company saying my car has been impounded from a loading zone downtown, and I need to pay $380 to get it released. I am confused because Stephanie drove my car home. I heard her come in. I wake her up and ask where she parked. She mumbles something about the usual spot in our building's garage. I tell her about the towing company. She sits up, looking panicked. Turns out, she didn't drive my car home at all. She and Jessica parked in a loading zone outside some club, went inside, and when they came out hours later, the car was gone. Instead of calling me, she just got an Uber back and was planning to figure it out in the morning. I am trying not to lose my temper. I ask how she was planning to figure it out when the car's registered to me. She shrugs and says she didn't think about that. But here is where the situation goes from bad to absolutely catastrophic. I ask her for my car keys so I can go deal with this towing mess. And she gets this look on her face that immediately makes my heart sink. She cannot find them. We spend the next 20 minutes tearing apart her purse, checking every pocket of the coat she was wearing, looking in every drawer and surface where she might have set them down when she came home. The keys are just completely gone. She finally admits, very reluctantly, that she thinks she might have left them at the club somewhere, or maybe dropped them on the street while they were walking between venues, or possibly, and this one really gets me, gave them to someone to hold while she was dancing, and then forgot to get them back. She is genuinely not sure which of these scenarios happened. She cannot even tell me with certainty where she lost my keys. I am standing there trying to process what she has just told me, and I feel this cold sensation washing over me as the full implications hit me all at once. Those car keys don't just open my car, they also have my condo keys on them, both the door key and the key to the parking garage. They have my office building fob attached to the ring, my mailbox key. Everything I need to access everything I own is on that keyring. And now some complete stranger potentially has all of it, somewhere in downtown Vancouver. And to make matters even worse, my car registration with my full home address is sitting right there in the glove compartment. Anyone who has those keys could theoretically look up where I live, show up at my building, use the garage key to get into the underground parking, take the elevator up to my floor, and walk right into my home. The security risk is absolutely enormous, catastrophic really, and she is just standing there looking annoyed that I am making what she clearly thinks is such a big deal about the whole situation. The Uber ride to the impound lot. I am doing mental calculations. New locks will run $500, $800. New building fob is $100, replacing office access stuff. Car rekeying another $200, $300. All because she lied, went clubbing, parked illegally, and lost my keys. I pay the $380 towing fee. They tell me I cannot release the car without keys. I call a locksmith, wait another hour and a half, pay $250 for emergency Sunday service to make a new key from the VIN. By the time I get home, it is almost 3 p.m. and I have spent close to $700. When I get back to the condo, Stephanie is sitting on the couch watching television, like it is just a completely normal Sunday afternoon. Like she didn't just cost me $700, lie to me about where she was going, lose my keys to strangers, and put my entire home's security at risk. I sit down next to her and tell her very calmly that we need to have a serious conversation about what happened. She immediately gets defensive again, saying before I even start that I am being dramatic and that accidents happen to everyone. I take a deep breath and try to explain this to her as calmly and clearly as I possibly can. I tell her that this wasn't just a single accident. This was a deliberate series of choices she made. She made the choice to lie to me about where she was going. She made the choice to take my car under what turned out to be completely false pretenses. She made the choice to park that car illegally in a loading zone. She made the choice not to keep careful track of my keys while she was out. She made the choice not to call me immediately when the car got towed so we could deal with it together. And now I am the one dealing with a massive security breach to my home, and hundreds of dollars in unexpected costs, all because of choices she made. She rolls her eyes at me, actually rolls her eyes, and says it is not like I crashed your car or got a DUI or something serious. I seriously don't know why you are being so incredibly dramatic about some lost keys. They are just keys. Derek, we will find them or get new ones made. It is not the end of the world. And that is when something just fundamentally clicks into place for me. This entire situation isn't really about the keys themselves, or even about the money I have spent fixing her mistakes. It is about her complete and total lack of accountability for her own actions. It is about the entitlement she is showing. Living in my home completely rent-free for 2 years, and yet treating my belongings like they are completely disposable, and my concerns like they are invalid. I look at her and I ask her one very direct question. Stephanie, do you genuinely understand why what you did was wrong? And you know what she says to me? She says, and I quote, "I didn't do anything wrong. Jessica's the one who parked the car in that loading zone, not me. And I didn't lose your keys on purpose. It was an accident. Stop trying to make me feel guilty about an accident." I realize I am talking to someone who fundamentally doesn't see themselves as responsible. I take a deep breath and tell her she should stay somewhere else for a while so we can both get some space. She immediately gets angry. I cannot just kick her out. This is her home too. I remind her it is my condo. Her name isn't on anything. She accuses me of being controlling, that I am punishing her for one mistake. I correct her. It is a pattern of disrespect. She starts crying, but I hold firm. She ended up leaving that evening to stay at Jessica's. As soon as she left, I called a 24-hour locksmith and had all my locks changed. Cost me an extra $200 for emergency service. Monday morning, I had my fob deactivated, got a new one, changed my mailbox lock, contacted office security. The whole process cost close to $1,500. Now Stephanie's family has been blowing up my phone. Her mom, her sister, her aunt. They are all calling me heartless, saying I overreacted, that everyone makes mistakes. Her mom especially keeps saying I should be more understanding. Her sister sent me a long text about how I am being financially abusive by holding the condo over her head. I have been incredibly generous with Stephanie. Over 2 years, I have probably subsidized her lifestyle to the tune of $50,000 plus. When you factor in rent she didn't pay, food, utilities, trips, car repairs, gifts, I have never once held it over her head. But now that I am setting a boundary, suddenly, I am the villain. Some friends say I did the right thing. Others think I am overreacting. My coworker thinks the family's reaction tells me everything. They are upset because they are losing their meal ticket. Update 1. It has been about a week since Stephanie moved out. I thought maybe after some space we could talk rationally. That has not been the case. The harassment from her family has gotten worse. Wednesday, Stephanie texted asking to get some stuff. She showed up Thursday with Jessica. The vibe was incredibly tense. Before they left, I asked if we could sit down and talk. She looked at me like I had suggested something insane. Why would I want to talk to you? You kicked me out of my home over nothing. Friday, I got a call from Stephanie's mom. She spent 45 minutes telling me how disappointed she is, how Stephanie is devastated. She said, Stephanie made one small mistake and I am punishing her disproportionately. Then she brought up money. Not everyone is as privileged as you. You holding your wealth over her head is really ugly. This caught me off guard because I never made Stephanie feel bad about our arrangement. But apparently now that I have set a boundary, it is holding wealth over her head. Saturday, Stephanie's sister Emma called. She laid into me about ruining Stephanie's life. Emma said everyone lies sometimes. It is not that serious. Nobody in her family seems to care about what Stephanie did. It is all about my reaction being too harsh. Tuesday, Stephanie's dad called. He said she is going through a hard time and needs support. He said having a boyfriend who has it all figured out makes her feel inadequate, and that is why she acted out. Wednesday, Stephanie came alone to get her remaining stuff. Silent packing for 20 minutes. Then she asked, "Do you even feel bad about throwing me out?" I told her I feel terrible about how things turned out, but I don't regret setting boundaries. She scoffed. Boundaries. That is bullshit. You are just punishing me, I asked. Do you understand why I am upset? She said, because I lost your keys. I said no, it is about lying, about taking my car under false pretenses, about not calling when it got towed, about losing keys that gave strangers access to my home, about showing no remorse. She said I already apologized. I asked when. I said sorry, when we were looking for them. One throwaway. Sorry, I told her, that is not really an apology. She got angry. What do you want? You want me to grovel? She said, her friend Kayla's boyfriend cheated and she forgave him, so I should forgive her. That is when I realized this was pointless. I told her to finish packing. As she left, she said, "I hope you are happy alone in your precious condo." Since then, texts from various family members every day. It is exhausting. Update 2. It has been about 3 weeks since Stephanie moved out. The harassment has mostly died down, though I still get occasional texts. Last week, my building manager called. Stephanie tried to get into the building using her old deactivated fob. When that didn't work, she tried to get the front desk to let her up. The security guard checked the system. She wasn't listed as a resident or authorized guest. She got upset and made a scene. The manager wanted to give me a heads up. I called Stephanie to ask what she was thinking. She said she had left jewelry and wanted to get it. I told her she should have texted first. She said she shouldn't have to ask permission to get her belongings. I reminded her it is not her place anymore. She hung up on me. Monday morning, I got an email from my credit card company about suspicious charges. 3 charges from last weekend I didn't recognize, 2 restaurants and 1 clothing store. Totaling about $340, I called to report fraud. Then I realized Stephanie had one of my credit cards for emergencies. I had given it to her a year ago. I forgot she had it. I called and asked if she still had it. Pause. Then she said yes. I asked if she had used it over the weekend. Another pause. She said she had used it to take herself out to dinner because she was feeling depressed about our breakup. I asked about the other charges. 1 dinner was with Jessica, and the clothing store was for new work clothes. I was speechless. She used my credit card without asking to fund her post-breakup recovery. I told her that is not what the card was for. She got defensive. I said no. It was for emergencies. She said being depressed is an emergency. I told her I had reported the charges as fraud and the card was canceled. She freaked out. I said she got herself in trouble by using my card without permission. She said she would pay me back eventually. I told her I would believe that when I saw it, the credit card company refunded the charges. But it made me think about other financial things. I went through my accounts. Stephanie had been using my Netflix, Spotify, Amazon Prime, Costco membership. I changed all the passwords. Within an hour, I got an angry text saying I was being petty. I told her she doesn't live with me anymore. She called me cheap. I sat down and calculated how much supporting Stephanie cost me over 2 years. Rent she didn't pay. $2,400 FAMonth for 2 years equals $57,600. Utilities. $200 FAMonth equals $4,800. Groceries. Maybe $400 FAMonth equals $9,600. Car insurance. Phone. Random expenses. Another $5,000. Trips, dinners, gifts, car repairs. Another $8,000. All in, I had subsidized Stephanie's lifestyle to the tune of approximately $85,000 over 2 years. All that generosity, and she couldn't take accountability for lying and losing my keys. My friend Marcus said, "Man, that is a down payment on a house. You funded someone's life for 2 years and all you got was disrespect." Thursday evening, I got a call from a collections agent asking for Stephanie Torres. I said she doesn't live here anymore. They said they had been trying to reach her about an outstanding debt. They said Stephanie had listed me as a reference on a credit application. I told them I never agreed to be a reference. I pulled my credit report. Everything looked clean. Thankfully, Friday, I got an email from Stephanie. Long and emotional. She said she has been thinking, realizes she made mistakes. She is sorry for lying and losing my keys. She said she was scared to tell the truth because she thought I would judge her. The lying wasn't about disrespecting me. It was about protecting herself. She said living with me had been harder than I realized. She felt like she was walking on eggshells. My success made her feel inadequate, and she acted out as a way of reclaiming her independence. She understands why I was upset, but thinks kicking her out was an overreaction. She wants to know if we can work things out. I read that email 5 times. On one hand, first time she would actually acknowledge mistakes. On the other hand, a lot felt like excuse-making. If she felt inadequate, that was her internal stuff. If she wanted more independence, she could have had a conversation. Instead, she lied, disrespected my property, put my security at risk. I sat on the email for a couple days. Finally, yesterday I wrote back. I told her I appreciated the apology, but I need to prioritize my own well-being and security. And right now, I don't feel comfortable with us getting back together or her moving back in. Maybe with more time we can reassess. But for now, I think it is best if we both move forward separately. Part of me feels guilty, but another part feels relieved. So here is where I am at. Stephanie's out. All security updated, finances separated, and I am slowly getting my life back to normal. I am still processing emotions, anger, sadness, relief, guilt. But overall, I think I did the right thing. Final update. It has been about 6 weeks since Stephanie moved out. Life has settled into a new normal that honestly feels pretty good. The condo is quiet. My routines are my own. No surprise drama in weeks. 2 weeks ago, Stephanie's mom called one last time. Her tone was different, less accusatory. She wanted to apologize for how the family came at me initially. She said they have been seeing a different side of Stephanie since she moved back home, and they are starting to understand why I set boundaries. She didn't go into detail, but implied, Stephanie has been difficult to live with, and there have been conflicts about responsibility. Her mom said she still thinks I could have been more patient, but she understands I was in a tough position. She hopes I find someone who appreciates me. It was the most reasonable conversation I had had with anyone in her family. Last week I ran into Jessica at a coffee shop. Awkward at first. But she came over and asked if we could talk. She told me Stephanie had been staying with her for a few weeks, but it became too much. Stephanie was constantly on her phone, barely helping with chores or groceries, staying out late. When Jessica asked her to start contributing to rent, Stephanie got defensive and said Jessica was being a bad friend. They had a falling out and Stephanie moved back to her parents. Jessica said, "I get it now. Why you kicked her out. I thought you were being an asshole, but now I understand." She said living with Stephanie was exhausting, and she has no sense of personal responsibility. The conversation was validating. For weeks I had been questioning myself, but hearing that even her best friend had the same experience confirmed this wasn't about me being unreasonable. I started seeing a therapist after this because it brought up a lot of stuff. My therapist has helped me understand patterns in my own behavior. I have a tendency to be overgenerous as a way of avoiding conflict or ensuring people like me. The inheritance created this weird guilt where I feel like I should share my good fortune, but I wasn't setting healthy boundaries. What happened was actually a valuable learning experience. The condo feels like mine again. I have rearranged furniture, updated decor. I am sleeping better. My work performance has improved. I have been going to the gym more, catching up with friends, enjoying my own company. When I eventually date again, I will be much more careful about financial boundaries. I will not let someone move in without clear expectations. I will not subsidize someone's entire lifestyle without ongoing conversations. And I definitely will not ignore red flags. The total cost, security updates, towing fees, locksmith charges, canceled credit card charges, lost subsidies, probably comes close to $90,000 over 2 years. That is a lot, but I consider it an expensive education. I learned what I will and will not tolerate. I learned the difference between being generous and being a doormat.